Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Holliday, and welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow show. In these interviews, we are always speaking with individuals who have taken control of their own destiny by adapting and changing as their environment has changed in order to prosper and not fall behind. Today, we are speaking with Mr. Scotty Studer, whose story will resonate with you since he is very much like many of us. For the past over 18 years, he has grown in a career as an IT professional, and he enjoys IT. But during most of those years, he suffered from poor nutrition, a lack of sleep, and no plan for spiritual growth. Numerous times he tried and he failed to improve on these important aspects of his life. The stress of work, family life, and daily distractions got in the way of making the important but not urgent changes. It wasn't until Scotty decided to try to step, not leap or jump, toward change that the real transformation began. Once he figured out a strategy that worked, his life was truly transformed. What I love about this approach is its step-by-step mentality. Scotty, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Michelle. It's great to be here.
I am so happy to have you with us. I think that this interview will resonate with many overworked people. My first question to you is this. I'm a person who needs to wake up in the right way to have a productive day, and I know that I need help figuring out exactly how to do that. Could you share some of your insights on your morning routines?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's something that I've kind of been tweaking, if I'm honest with you, over the past few years, and that's one of the cool parts about all of these things and about the strategy that I kind of talk about in the book in general, right? And that idea is taking these small steps, trying them out for, I usually say like 7 to 10 days, right, and seeing if they're a good fit for you. And if they're not, well, then we just tweak it a little bit and maybe take another step in a different direction. And I got to be honest, that's kind of how I started off with this whole kind of morning routine thing. So the morning routine, it's chapter one in my book for a reason, because to me it's just foundational, and it's foundational because I'm of the belief from my past history, but now my previous history, that how you start your day can make a remarkable difference in
Mhm.
setting yourself up for success for the rest of the day. So my morning routine consists of getting out of bed. I get up about 5 o'clock every morning. We're pretty early risers. My wife is a teacher and she has to be at school a little bit early. So we're up and going, at least the two of us, about 5 o'clock. And I begin my day with a nutritional drink mix. It's something that I've been doing for the past 5 years or so. It gives my body just a ton of nutrition in a single drink mix. It gives me a little boost of energy, natural energy in the morning too. So I don't necessarily have to go for the coffee pot first thing, but
Right?
which I know a lot of people do,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I used to be that guy too. I still, I'm like a one cupper now, kind of mid morning thing. So I get some natural energy from that, and I literally sit down at a little spot I've kind of carved out, and my wife has her spot in her chair, and I have my spot at the dining room table, and really my morning routine is about focusing on a spiritual perspective. So I sit down and I simply use a little devotional book that I've been using for a while now, and it takes me about 5 minutes. And what I'm doing is I'm just starting reading from the word, from the scripture that's been kind of put in the devotional thought, and then reading through just the thoughts that was provided by the author. It's just a real short thing. But what it does is it really kind of gets me focused on the most important aspect of my life, and that is my faith. So I use that time to self-reflect a little bit, and then I'll use that time in prayer as well. So I'll start off with reading of the word, kind of having the author guide my thoughts, and then let that lead into a time of conversation with God. And then after that, I will typically move on to reading something uplifting. I'm I'm not a big reader, at least I haven't been on the fiction side, but recently, meaning the past 5 or 6 years, I've really developed a joy in reading kind of the nonfiction kind of books. So, for instance, right now I'm in the middle of a book called More or Less. It's a very neat book, but it's about how to be thankful for what you've got, and kind of combating this whole idea of buy more, buy more, buy more. That's going to bring
Mhm.
you happiness, right? And it's just a
Mhm.
it's a really powerful book, written in such a way that doesn't it's not a guilt trip on people who buy and like stuff, but it's all about how we can compartmentalize that and put it into perspective.
Right.
So I just use that as a simple example. And so I'll read for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And by that time, the kids are up and going. And then I'm moving on to me getting ready and helping them get ready for the school day and stuff. So that's kind of how my morning routine every single morning.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Gratitude, right?
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
It's all
That's
about
exactly
gratitude.
right. Yeah.
I want to ask you how you were able to work so many hours, being a dad, but still be able to follow a diet.
Yep.
Because one of the biggest problems in the Western world, at least, is diseases caused by overeating or
Yeah.
bad eating habits. What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, so it is such a struggle, and I've been like every other person probably. I was very sedentary. I'm still very sedentary, quite honestly, in my regular day job. I sit in front of a computer all day, and so diet has always been something that I struggled with, right? And I've
Hmm.
tried different things. I've lost a little bit, and I've gained it all back, but over the past 5 years, I was really turned on to a solution that isn't really about dieting, but it is about nutrition. And so I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation about my morning routine is the nutrition drink. And so by me starting foundationally with that drink, I'm starting my health off on the right foot. So what I try to do is a couple of things. I'm very big on starting off with a protein with my nutritional drink mix in the morning, and then I will eat a protein rich breakfast because to me, as all the studies show, and as I've personally found, right, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So I will do things such as I will have a Greek yogurt. It's got a ton of protein in it. I'll drink a glass of milk. It has 8 grams of protein in that. I will scramble some eggs, right? A great amount of protein in that, and I'll probably mix it up a little bit. But I'm trying to eat about 25 to 30 grams of protein in my breakfast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, because the reason being is it keeps me full for you know through 1 o'clock some
Right.
days, right? And what I'll also do is spread that out a little bit. So, I'll drink my nutritional mix about 5 o'clock. I'll have my yogurt at 7, and I might have some eggs at 9. Now, I have a luxury of being able to work from home. So I do have the flexibility to kind of come and go. And I know not everybody has that flexibility, right? But
Mm.
it works well for me. And then what I'll do is try to have a reasonable lunch, right? Reasonable can be defined in many ways. Today, for instance, I had a can of soup. I'm here at the house, and I had a can of soup with some crackers. But the thing is it's 3:45 Central Time the day that we're recording this, and honestly, that has sustained me throughout the day. Now, with that in mind, I'll probably be ready to eat about dinner time, and so we'll probably eat between 5 and 6 o'clock. But I found that my hunger desire in kind of spreading this out a little bit is not as great. And of course, if your hunger desire is not as great, you're not going to naturally eat as much.
Mm.
Um, and that's really helped me because um, if I let myself go, if I start off with a donut for breakfast in the morning, right?
Uh-oh.
I'm starving by 10:30,
Mm.
11 o'clock, and then I'm eating a huge, bunch of calories for lunch because I'm just so hungry. And then, of course, I'll just repeat that process, 5 or 6 hours later at dinner time. And so it's really worked well for me to try to spread it out a little bit, but protein has been a key factor in kind of sustaining me so that I'm not just starving each and every day. And that's pretty much my normal routine. I will sometimes replace my lunch meal with a protein shake that I use, an all natural protein shake, and it's got about 20 grams of protein in it, right? So starting off with breakfast with about 25 grams of natural protein, and then having a protein shake all natural, 1 o'clock or so with about 20 grams. Again, that's getting me through most of the day, and then I will eat a normal dinner with my family. Whether that's something my wife cook, and sometimes we'll go out to eat. So, I try to be reasonable about it all because I personally think that's where a lot of people fail when it comes to trying to watch what you eat. Is they're not honestly being reasonable with what they're doing, and that's why it's failing for a lot of people.
Right. You need a simple to follow approach.
Yes, yes, and I
Yes.
like simple, right? So it's just taking some of these small steps that that I figured out what's worked for me, and hopefully other people can maybe use some of these examples and try it for themselves as well.
Exactly. Now, reading your book, I saw something very important, and that was an entire chapter on how to rest correctly. Now, this is a new concept to me. Can you explain this, please?
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit of history. Back in 2005, I guess, I had a sleep study done. So sleep has always been something that I struggled with. My wife and I had been married about eight or so years by that point, and I just wasn't a restful sleeper. I was waking up. I was one of those night terrors guy where I would kind of wake
Hmm.
up and scream and get out of bed, and it
Oh, wow.
was it was it was crazy almost, but I couldn't help it, right? So I had a sleep study done. Well, that's where they hook you up to all the machines. You try to sleep, which is a joke, anyways, because you have like 1,000 probes on your head and on your fingers and stuff. But they want you to sleep and they observe you and then, kind of give you results. Well, it was inconclusive, which is not the answer you want to hear, right? So, they put me on a couple of medications and I really didn't like being on them. I didn't like the after effects of them. So I kind of just fell off the wagon, right? Well, several years later, as I started getting into kind of a natural approach to the thing. One of the things that I really wanted to focus on was what are some natural ways that I can improve my sleep. And so, to your point, I've got about four kind of chapters in the book that just talk about rest in general. And so, some of the things that I found is all about preparing yourself for sleep and setting the room, setting the mood, if you will, of the room for sleep.
Oh.
So, for example, I try to get off of all electronics an hour before bedtime. That's my phone, that's my laptop. I'll be honest, sometimes the TV in the living room will stay on, and what I'm probably doing is falling asleep watching some random show that I don't really care about, right? But but I'm not like fixated with a screen in my face for about an hour before bedtime. So for me, that's usually around 9 o'clock at night because we're usually in bed between 10 or 10:30. The other thing is I am very intentional about getting to bed so that I can have on average about 7 hours of sleep. Minimum six is what I'm shooting for. I don't usually get eight, and seven is pretty a pretty average number for me. So I will shut down screens about an hour before. Sometimes I'll read on my Kindle or a regular book, right? Something that's not eye straining, so that I'm just kind of setting my mind up to relax and not be kind of overstimulated with screens. But then also, when it's time for bed, we've done a couple of things, like I said, just kind of preparing for sleep. First and foremost, several years ago, we spent a chunk of change on a really good mattress. And I
Mm.
highly recommend that for people, right? To me, you're going to spend 7 to 9 hours of your day on the mattress. And my suggestion is, spend some money, go with your spouse if you're married, and, figure out something that is really comfortable to you because that to me is a first foundational thing, right?
The
For getting
key.
good sleep is being
Mhm.
comfortable on the mattress that you're sleeping in.
You
So some
bet.
of the other things that we do, and I talk about this a little bit, is I don't like light. When I sleep, I want it to be as dark as possible. And as you read kind of studies that talk about this, that's one thing that is suggested. So what we did is we went and got some blackout curtains. So when you go to a hotel, right?
Mhm.
You close the drapes and it's pitch black in there because they have those blackout curtains on the windows.
Oh.
Well, we went and bought some of those for our own bedroom. We have a nice big window that brings in a lot of light in the daytime, but at night there's a big street lamp out there that shines bright in, right? So that was not working for me. So, anyways, went and bought some blackout curtains, and that really helps again set the mood for good sleep. So we've got a good mattress. I've got the room dark. The other thing that we do is get a white noise machine. So because I was such a light sleeper, that's what the sleep study showed. I was waking up with crickets and cars going by, and just the random noises that you hear when you lay down to sleep. So we got on Amazon and found just a simple white noise machine that we click on, and it's like a fan. Some people will turn on a fan at night,
Uh-huh.
not necessarily because they're cold, but because their body has kind of gotten used to the humming of the fan, just from an ambient noise perspective. Well, that's basically what
Ah.
this machine does, right? Is it puts just a very light ambient level sound in the room so that it tunes out all of that creakiness, all of those crickets, all of those cars that might be driving by if you're a light sleeper like me, that wake you up. So those are two things that I do every night to kind of set the mood for sleep. And I tell you, it is really really improved my rest personally. Now, do I still wake up sometimes in a night terror? I do, and bless my wife's heart of almost 20 years now, she gently says, "Oh, go back to sleep, go back to sleep," and I'll go back to sleep. But for the most part, it has really really helped me get better rest at night.
Scotty, those are fantastic tips, especially
Good.
the white noise machine.
Yeah.
Now, uh, most people are looking for ways to make the most of their income.
Mhm.
What are some of the most effective money habits that you can teach us?
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a section about finance. It's one of my four pillars, and the book itself talks about taking small steps in your faith, your relationships, your health, and your finance. And finance has been something I've been the financial nerd in our family for we've been married almost 20 years now. It's just something that I've just always enjoyed learning about. So I've swung from different pendulums, if you will, of ways to look and approach money. And some of the things that I share in the book are really things that I've been doing for a long time that I really think create a good foundation that anybody can pick up. So, the first thing that I would mention is this idea of writing down your spending. So, if you don't know where your money's going, I don't know how you can make progress in having a successful financial life, right? For me, I have always wanted to know where the dollars are going. Now, I do this probably a little bit more granular than a lot of people, but the point of the chapter is just to say, listen, if you want to take a small step to getting control of your finance, here's what you can do. At the end of every day, take 10 minutes and just write down on a notepad what you spent your money on. Now, you're going to have to do it every day because if you wait and do it the next morning, you're probably going to forget something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you went through the breakfast drive through, if you bought lunch, if you went to Walgreens, if you went to the grocery store, and it doesn't have to be exact, right? We're just looking for, okay, about how much did I spend in those things? And what I suggest is just do that for a week. Commit to doing that for 7 to 10 days, and then kind of go back and say, "Oh wow, I I spent $50 at Starbucks this week. I had no idea. $5 times the last 10 days really adds up to $50. Kind of thing." And the point there being is now you're tracking what you're doing because habits are if we want to change something, we have to know what we're doing, and track it in some way in order to recognize it and then be able to really figure out a way to tweak it. So writing down your spending is key because then you can go back and say, okay, I'm going to do better at X. I'm going to reduce my Starbucks intake from $50 a week to, $25 a week or something like that because I want to use that $25 for, a date night with my spouse or something with the kids or whatever the case may be. So for me personally, and I've been doing it literally since right after we got married, is write down your spending. I take it a little bit farther. I keep a budget every month. I track it all through financial software. It's really a foundational thing to my personal finance.
Mm.
Um, the other thing that I talk about too, along with that, in one of the chapters, is this idea of guilt-free blow money. Okay, so people when they think budget, they think restrictions. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
like to call it a budget. I like to call it a spending plan because when you say spending plan, that's a much more freeing term,
Yes, it is.
right? Budget is so constraining, but spending plan is much happier. And so that's great because our mindset needs to be one that God has blessed us with whatever financial means, education He's provided for us to create an income. And, we want to use that. I want to use that to His glory first and foremost, but I don't want to feel like a miser. I don't want to feel like I'm always not sure if I should spend money on something. And so having a spending plan and knowing where that money's going to go sets you up for success. And one of the categories that I talk about is having a blow money fund. So what that means is if you're married, then each of you gets, and I'll just make up some stuff here, $50 a month in blow money. And what that is permission to go spend it on whatever the heck you want to,
Mm.
right? Because that's freeing. That provides you the non-guilt factor of that not what I call the scarcity mindset, that constrained scarcity mindset of budgeting. It frees you from that because it's giving yourself permission then to go spend the money on something you personally enjoy. So maybe you do ramp up the Starbucks spending back up to $50, or something, because again, you're giving yourself that permission. So a guilt-free blow money as a part of your spending plan is two really easy things that I think people can do to both get things under control, but also give themselves just a little bit of permission to not feel guilty about something that they really want to do.
Scotty, this is great. I love that your book focuses on wealth in all areas of life and not just financially.
Mhm.
Scotty, can you give us how people might access your work and become more engaged in what you do?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I've got a website. It's just simply www.scottystuder.com. And on that website, you can check out some blog articles I've put out. It's really chapters from the book, just some snippets from it, so folks can get an idea as to what the book is about. They can also purchase the book directly on the website. I've got it in all three versions: Kindle, paperback, and audio. And Michelle, I wanted to do something for your audience, and I've created a coupon code. So if they would like to purchase any of those three options, if they type in the coupon code Michelle20, so just your first name and the number 20 all together, they're going to get a 20% discount off of any of those three purchases if they find value in it, would like to give the book a try.
That's
So,
fantastic.
well, I'm happy to do that. It's a pleasure to be able to be on this podcast, and I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity. And there's also a way to contact me from the webpage. You can check out a little bit more about my bio and stuff like that too. So that's probably the best place to contact me. And I've got links to Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff from there.
Scotty Studer, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Michelle Holliday, and this has been the Leaders of Tomorrow show. Scotty Studer is a great example of someone living wealthy, and the reason is because he is taking action in all aspects of his life to enrich his own experience. Lior, the founder of Portfolio Wealth Global, told me after speaking to Scotty that there are two types of people in the world: those who drift and those who aim. Aimers are wealthy no matter how much money they possess. Just like Scotty Studer, in taking action in all aspects of life, health, inspiration, rest, exercise, family, so do our growth and prosperity articles on our website, introducing you to proven ideas that will help to inspire, forming new habits that will impact your life. Our mission at Portfolio Wealth Global is to enrich your life and transfer Tom and Lior's experience to you. Lior has traveled to over 33 countries. He loves to explore the planet's unique cultures, from skydiving to diving with sharks. He is a thrill seeker and a millionaire small cap stock expert. Be sure to join the free, highest ranking newsletter of 2017 and go to our About Us page to quickly learn why the top hedge fund managers are calling Portfolio Wealth Global a must-read. Join us again next week as we bring the top dogs of the financial industry to you and gain access to their thought processes. Until then, I'm Michelle Holliday at PortfolioWealthGlobal.com.